Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for asking me.
Yes. So I love, obviously, to start off with telling my listeners who you are, what you do, and all the things. Tell us all about you.
Yeah, all the things. That's kind of what it feels like in this season of my life. The main thing is my husband and I own two gyms in upstate New York, not far from where you're located. And so that takes up the majority of my time, but then I'm a mom, so all the wonderful things that go along with that. And I am leaning into developing my coaching business. That's taking up a good portion of my time. And so I'm very excited to see where that path continues to take me.
Is exciting.
Hmm.
Yes, because I've taken one of your courses, the Magic Mindset, which is
Yes,
awesome. Like,
thank
I
you.
love your voice in my head all the time. I feel like if I need a kick in the butt, I'm like, I should go listen to Heather because she'll give me a kick in the butt.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think the gym and the coaching practice, they kind of lend themselves well together. And that was my frustration with the gym is I felt like there was something missing because I don't want to just talk about fitness and nutrition. I want to talk about the why it's so important, or maybe the why it isn't happening, or the benefits that go far beyond seeing any weight loss or, the traditional things that we think about. And so leaning into that has helped. Yeah. It just me personally, because I just find it a lot more enjoyable than just saying, okay, this is what you should eat and then go work out.
Yeah, because that doesn't work. We know what
No,
we
it
should
doesn't.
be doing, but yeah.
Should is a horrible word for that
Yes.
reason. Hmm.
Exactly. So you do have a podcast called The Magic Mindset, which is
Hmm.
all about us, like nourishing ourselves, like everything, mindset. I don't even know how to describe it. If you want to describe it, it's
I
like
can't
everything. Yeah.
honestly, that's you're hitting on a struggle that I have because, I mean, we're both in the same space, like Instagram. You should niche down, you should find your audience. And I saw you just kind of roll your eyes for those who are listening. It is impossible for me to niche down for that reason because what lights me up is so big and it's so broad that focusing on one thing just feels really kind of depressing. And so that's why I went with the name, because at least mindset kind of casts a big umbrella. There's a lot of ways that we could approach that. But yeah, if I had to pick one passion, it would certainly be the way we treat our bodies. But again, that's it. What does that mean? It's how we sleep, it's how we eat, it's how we move. It is so big. And so yeah, I appreciate you saying I don't know how to describe it, because I don't either.
Well, that's what I love about it is it's just everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And you'll start talking about a subject, but then
We
it
go a
leads,
lot of
yeah,
ways.
yeah, it just leads to everything that's involved, like in that subject that leads up to it. It's just, I love it. So why did you decide to start your podcast?
It was one of those things. I think, like a lot of podcast creators, that it was a should for me for a very long time. I felt like I should be doing it and I wanted to do it, but I had a lot of fear around it. The traditional stuff: who would listen? What would they think? How am I going to do that? What is the production going to look like? I am not somebody who does well with technology. Well, that's the story I tell myself, basically. And so I allowed that to be an excuse. And so it was one of those things that really, it was on my to-do list for at least a year. I had ordered the Yeti microphone for 8 months before I even took it out of the box. And finally got the push through a friend of mine, through Nicole, who I'm sure through Christy, and just kind of realized I have to do this, if anything, for myself, because I'm always talking to myself on that podcast. I think it is a very cathartic tool, to kind of move through whatever I need to express at that moment. And with the hopes of, I know not every woman is going to come to my gym. I know not every woman is going to invest in my coaching services, and that's okay. But I still feel like my voice can help them. And so I like that I can just put things out there that hopefully help women kind of reframe how they treat their body, how they're showing up in the world, be a little kinder to themselves, absolutely call their BS when they need to too. And so I hope, at least my hope is that it's helping people just figure out how to be kinder to themselves and look at the world a little differently.
Yes, I will say it is doing that because I love listening to it.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, but that's why I started this podcast, the mindset of podcasting, because a lot of people, when they want to start a podcast, all that stuff comes up like, my voice is horrible. Who wants to listen to what I have to
Hmm.
say? All of those
Hmm.
things. And so I want to help women like get over that hurdle of your message needs to be heard. Like somebody is going to resonate with you.
And you certainly do. You remind me, I love watching your Instagram stories and seeing your process of how you do it. But I really appreciate the consistency that you show with your business, of how we can see every single day of how you show up for it, for yourself, but also for all the women that you're helping through, navigate their own process. And I love that because again, here I am going off on a tangent about things that aren't related, but that's the magic secret, I feel like. And so the more I see people just do things consistently, I find it so inspiring, of just like, oh wow, they're just doing the work, they're showing up. So I really appreciate that from you.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Like my first episode was probably horrible because I was so nervous, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. So you just got to start is what I say.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and if that isn't the truth with absolutely everything in the world, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, every single thing.
Starting is the hardest part. After that, I won't say it's downhill in the sense that it's all easy from there, but it's easier from there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. So what was the process of starting your podcast like? Like, what was the most frustrating part? What was easier than you thought it would be?
I can't say as if I've had a ton of frustration, but I also will fully admit I don't put that much work into it. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to put it out there. It's not frustrating is the wrong way to put it. It's weird to me to create something and not know how it's being received, right? To not know who is listening to it. And especially in the subjects that I'm dealing with a lot of subjects that are not controversial, but there's certainly subjects that people have a lot of opinions on, but people also have a lot of emotions tied to. I'm talking about body image, I'm talking about weight gain, weight loss, a lot of those things. And so these are conversations that I like. That's why I love my coaching practice, is I can have them one-on-one with somebody and really dig into what's happening, dig into what they're feeling, where in a podcast is just me, And so I get frustrated because I'm thinking, well, how is this landing for somebody? Because I like to liken it, like I use the analogy a lot, like a game of dodgeball. Some of the advice rather, that is going to hit somebody right in the face. Cool. They needed that ball. It might even hurt a little bit, but that's, what it is. But then in other instances, the ball is just going to fall right past you. It's not for you. That's okay too. You don't need to dive in front of it. But then in other instances, you are diving away from the ball and you probably need that one too. So it's kind of like not being able to know how people are receiving things. That is a fear that I have, that I also am working through, kind of not holding myself back so much because of that. And, the positives are just when I do get those messages or those DMs, like, hey, this really connected with me, or this really helped me, or I was able to reframe this differently, like that. I know it sounds so cliche, and I'm sure every single podcaster that you talk to says it, but hearing even one person have a takeaway that helped them is just, okay, then I can deal with a potential troll listening if it's helping somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. That's the thing that I'm not my favorite thing about the podcasting, is that you don't know who's listening. Like, you don't get to see who's following you like you do on Instagram.
Yeah.
Unless they reach out to you or leave a review.
Yeah. But I will say it's surprising too, especially, we're in the same community. It's a small community. Everybody, if they don't know somebody, somebody who knows somebody. And it's surprising to me to get messages of people I would never think would be listening. And they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, what? Oh, you're listening, which kind of makes me nervous, because it's a reminder that people are listening, but it's also nice to know this is connecting. People are, for whatever reason, hearing it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you just got to hope that it's still reaching people who don't even reach out to you,
Yeah, for sure.
You never hear from, which hopefully is the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know you talk a lot about standing in our own way, the bullshit that kind of goes on in our mind that we tell ourselves and then we start believing. So what do you have any advice on how, if somebody wants to start a podcast, start a business, whatever they want to start, getting over that, I call it inner critic, mean girl, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I like to, I feel like there's two ways to approach it. There's just the honest way, which is just to be honest with ourselves and each other. It's never going to go away. It is never going to go away. Even consistently showing up in this space, I can't speak for you, but I'm sure you probably have the same feeling. Like I still hit publish on some episodes and I'm like, this is, the imposter syndrome just comes rearing its ugly head. And so it's kind of like, feeling the fear and doing it anyway is what it comes into. I like to remind myself of, I think we put a lot of weight into the cost of everything that could go wrong, the cost of the critic, the cost of somebody who's not going to agree with us, the cost of the person who's going to troll us, who's going to leave negative reviews, who's going to, whatever. It's really easy to think about that. Unfortunately, we don't pay enough attention to the cost of not doing it, the cost of sitting with our potential, the cost of not allowing ourselves to express ourselves, the cost of not digging into our creativity. That sucks, for lack of a better term. I think there is nothing heavier than the weight of unused potential. And so it's easy, and I identify with it because, like I said, I sat with my microphone in a box for almost a year. It's easy to allow those voices to just tell you not to do it. But at some point we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, well, what am I going to regret more? Am I going to regret starting and maybe messing up, maybe failing, maybe whatever? Or am I going to regret never trying? And I know that sounds so cliche and like a Pinterest pro and whatever. You know me, on a personal level, I hate that stuff, but it's the truth. So we just have to look it in the eye and decide, I am capable of this. I am better than this. I can do this. And if I do mess up, cool, it's part of the process because it just is what it is. Lean into it. And then I had another point, but I think I kind of made it in my little tangent there. But it's just accepting the fact that it's not going to go away, but neither is the longing to do it. Neither is the desire to do it. And so what are you going to live with? It's really just kind of pushing yourself off of that ledge, for lack of a better term, it's scary as hell. But again, I think not doing it, if we consider that, is often a lot scarier. It's just, we don't think about it.
Yeah, I still get nervous recording episodes before I get on interviews. Like, I know you, and I was still like, I can do this.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's, but then you get on the other side of it, and almost all the time you're like, oh yeah, it's always, and again, the gym intersects a lot with the work I do. That's always the case. That I hear that all the time at the gym. Oh my God, I didn't come for years. I thought everybody's going to be looking at me. I thought everybody's going to judge me. All of these stories. And then you come and you realize, oh, that was all in my head. I feel like that's the case with almost everything,
Yeah, we see something. We create the worst case scenario in our head.
Yes.
But what if we picture the best case scenario?
The best case. Yeah. Absolutely. And I know this is scary. This is terrifying to some people. Something that helped me a lot in a lot of areas of my life is saying, okay, what is the worst case scenario? And really thinking about it, like not trying to numb it out, not trying to run away from it, but really saying, okay, I'm going to go down this path. What is the worst case scenario? What is the worst things that could happen? Almost all the time you realize it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. But we don't go down that road. We just turn away from it. But if we like look the boogeyman in the eye, you're like, oh yeah, that's not, and so again, I don't want to sound like a Pinterest board, but it's so true. Once you give yourself, and it is a gift, it doesn't feel like a gift at the time, but if you can give yourself the gift of really saying, okay, what is the worst thing that could happen? You realize almost all the time it's not that bad. And even when it is that bad, what's the alternative? Sitting with it 5 years from now, you didn't do it, you never try, you never, like, that just sucks, Yep.
Yeah, I always tell myself after I have to do an Instagram live or something that makes me really nervous, when I open my office door, I'm still going to walk out and have a husband and kids who love me. Like, they're not going to hate me because I messed up on an IG live or a podcast interview or something.
Yes. And true. Even if the mess up does happen, nobody remembers but us, right? Yeah. Like, we're the people who know, oh, I said that word wrong, or I didn't. Yeah. We're our own worst critic 100% of the time.
Yes. So, I know you're also a gym owner, which I have not been to the gym. I'm one of those people. I have the worst case scenario in my head about going to the gym.
I get it. I did it. I lived it, man. I know what it's like to walk into the gym for the first time. So believe me, I can sympathize with that.
Yes. So how has fitness helped you on your entrepreneur journey and starting your
Oh,
business?
how much time do you have? I could, I love, I love that you asked this question because that is why I am so passionate about fitness. It's not about having a tight stomach or a big juicy butt. It is not about that at all. Fitness teaches you, it teaches you how to fail, on the last subject. Like if you are not failing at the gym, you are not trying. That is just a truth, So it teaches you how to fail. It teaches you how to fail on purpose. It also teaches you that failing is not a big deal. It means you're on the right path. It means you're working. It means you're testing your boundaries, which if that doesn't apply to everything in our life, fitness teaches you how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because again, if you are not uncomfortable at the gym, you're not working. And I'm not saying, believe me, this is not a no, again, you know me. I'm not no pain, no gain. I do not believe in that. There's a huge difference between being in pain and being uncomfortable. But find me somebody who's doing a squat, it's not comfortable. You know what I mean? We're challenging ourselves. And when we get to a point that something does feel comfortable, okay, it's time to up the weight. And so again, that's why another reason why I love the gym is you're never done. There's no finish line. There's no goalpost. There's no, oh, okay, I lost 10 pounds. Now I'm done. Okay, no, you're not. Because what happened if you're just done? We know that to be true. And that is so true in entrepreneurship. And it's so true in just life. We have to, like I said, it's what I admire about you. We are what we consistently do. We are what we show up. And so the gym teaches you to be consistent with your habits. It reminds you, fear the feel, do it anyway, to test your boundaries. It reminds you that if you fail, it's not a big deal. It reminds you of how strong you are. Because if I had, so I'm going to geek out on you for a little bit. We have kettlebells at the gym. And for those who are not familiar with kettlebells, most often they are weighted in kilograms. So kilograms are roughly 2 pounds, for every 1 kilogram. If I had $1 for every time, and ladies, I hate to call us out, but we're the ones who do this. For every time a woman said to me, I hate that word. I can't lift more than 10 pounds, more than 20 pounds. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. And then they'll go over and they'll grab a 12 kilogram kettlebell and they'll pick it up like it's nothing and they'll go put it back. I'm like, so you can't lift over 10 pounds? They're like, oh, well, I tried. I'm like, okay, well, that's almost 25 pounds. That has happened so many times. And so again, the gym teaches us that what we can and can't do all lives in our mind. All we will do, if we believe ourselves capable of doing something or learning how to do something, we will do it. If we believe ourselves capable of not being able to do something or not being able to learn something, then we won't do it. We're right too. And like, I see that all the time at the gym. Just people tell me, I can't. We get them to try. They do. They unequivocally do. And so like, watch, you can see how excited I get seeing that. And especially in a women, because I'm a girl's girl. I love to see women's win. I love to see women just own their body and own their strength. And so seeing somebody do something that they did not think they could do, it changes everything because it's just like a domino that goes everywhere in their lives. And you start realizing, oh, I didn't think I could do this. Well, what if I try? What if I try? And so long story short, I'm not being cliche when I say a gym or specifically strength training will change your life. It will, but only if you allow it to, by making yourself. It's okay to get uncomfortable, ladies. It is okay to make a noise in the gym. It is okay to make an ugly face. It is okay to sweat. Nobody is looking at you. Trust me. If they are, I guarantee you what they are thinking is, holy crap, look at that girl. She's killing it. Or inspiring. We see other women. I love that too. I'd love to see a woman, see another woman doing something and compliment, like, oh, wow, you just did that. And now I'm going to try to do that. Like as the water rises, so do the ships. I see that all the time because competition doesn't live there. It's just people cheering for each other. It's just, again, how much time do you have? So yeah, long story short, it's helped me a lot because I was the person, I think I started working out before we put it on Instagram. I don't have the beginning of my journey because it wasn't filmed then. I was doing it in my living room with on-demand TV, because like YouTube workouts weren't even a thing. But like when I tell you that I can sympathize with people, 5-pound weights would make me so sore that I couldn't sit down on the toilet the next day. I totally get what it's like to start. I know what it's like to walk into the gym for the first time. I know how terrifying those things are, but I can speak to the other side of it and what happens when you show up for yourself consistently. And it's like, you will blow your own mind. if you give yourself the opportunity to. And I love to see it happen. And I'd love to see where else it leads people.
That is like so inspirational. Now I want to like go to the gym.
It really, I mean, honestly, I'm not the person who's like, go to the gym, it'll change your life. But I'm the person who's like, go to the gym, it'll change your life. I tell people all the time, it doesn't need to be my gym, but just go, because there's something any type of movement I'm a fan of. Don't get me wrong. Any movement on anywhere, if it's a walk, if it's a Zumba class, if it's a bike ride, if it's anything is beautiful, anything is wonderful. I celebrate it all. I encourage it all. There is just something different about putting yourself in a gym, because it opens yourself up. You're vulnerable, you're nervous, you're doing something new. It brings up a lot of fears that you have no choice to look in the eyes, but then you realize it's all in your head. It doesn't exist. And that is the magic that changes everything. And the opportunity to consistently progress and consistently challenge yourself. We just don't have that at home, because we have one set of dumbbells or one set of kettlebells or one, you know what I mean? And so when you're at the gym, it's like I'm a kid at a playground. What do you want? I got weights up to how, what do you want to lift? Let's go. Let's challenge ourselves. And so the opportunity to consistently progress is always there.
So we have all those distractions at home. We have kids, we have housework.
And there's psychology behind that. It's not people, they feel like losers because they're not motivated because they bought the bike or they bought the treadmill and they never do it. No, I mean, we sleep at home. We eat at home. We watch Netflix at home. The same way when we go to work, we go to the grocery store, we buy food. We are not programmed to work out at home. And so it is actually harder for us to do that versus going to a place where that's what you do. And so it's like, we pray when we go to church. It's the same line of thinking. And so again, don't beat yourself up if you're listening and you're like, well, I haven't been working out at home and I have all this stuff. Well, because you're not designed to. It's just harder.
Yeah. It's that click when you walk into the gym, this is what I'm here to do.
This is what I do. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, this is the place for it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes. I love all of that. So I have a few little questions that I ask like every guest, just to fun little questions. What is your favorite mindset book?
Oh, I don't know if it's particularly a mindset book, but I will say this book it completely changed my life. It's the first book in the self-help, I hate that term, but in that genre that I read. I actually just thought to myself, I'm going to reread it again, like soon, because I have a birthday coming up. It's probably going to be the 7th or 8th time I've read it, but A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
I haven't read that one.
It is, I won't say that it's not the pop psychology books that are out right now. It's definitely a little drier. It's definitely not as entertaining as some of the other books, but the concepts in it, they were my first step into drastically changing my life. Started with that book. And it's one of the things I can go back and read it and still get something out of all these years later.
I'll have to put that on my list, my ever-growing list. That is very long. Do you have a favorite podcast?
Oh, there's a lot of them. Again, it depends on what I'm in the mood to listen to, really. I will say I'm a bit of a, I hate the term, I'm a bit of a self-help nerd, and I read self-help like potato chips. I just consume. And so with podcasts, I really steer away from it. And so I listen more to like fitness stuff, more stuff that's going to, help me kind of expand my knowledge of fitness and nutrition. So I've been listening to the Huberman Lab a lot, which is very nerdy on neuroscience and biology and how our bodies work and how our brain works. But it's given me a lot of good, okay, I can go find it, because I like to be able, I don't want to just tell people, this is what you should do. I want to be able to, this is the studies. And this is, so he has a lot of really, really great research backed information.
Love that. Yeah, I'm kind of the same with podcasts. Some are business, some are just fun. So it depends on my mood.
Right, exactly.
And I know that you love affirmations. So is there a favorite one, or one that you tell yourself every morning? Or I know they might change.
They change a lot. Something I consistently come back to and has helped me in a lot of seasons of my life is I am divinely supported. I just think it's a really great reminder that, we've talked about failing a lot. Like, I can't fail. I truly believe I cannot fail. I truly believe nobody can fail. And so I am divinely supported really helps me remember that in the challenging parts of my life, I've always landed on my feet. And I think it's really, we just were coming out of your husband's a small business owner. We came out of a
Mhm.
rough 2 years,
Yes.
and we're still feeling very much the effects of those 2 years, as I'm sure a lot of small business owners are. And so that one has really been true for me since 2020 started, of just, I am divinely supported. I've always been divinely supported. And that makes me just feel very comforted.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. And I love in your course, I still do this every morning, my 3 I am statements of how I want to feel
Mhm.
that day. So those are always my affirmations in the morning.
I love it.
Yes. So thank you again so much for being on today. And
Thank you.
yes, please tell the listeners how they can connect with you and about your course and how they can get access to that and your coaching.
Yeah. So the easiest place to find me, everything lives on my website. It's just, www.heathermaio.com. It's Maio. So I'm like the paleo version of Mayo, I guess. I don't know. But Heather Maio, Maio. And then on Instagram, that's where I tend to hang out the most as far as social media goes. It's just my name, Heather, and then period Mayo, Maio. So everything kind of lives under those two buckets. And yeah, I would love to connect further with anybody.
Yes, I'll make sure all of those are in the show notes. And thank you so much again.
Thank you.